Hey, what's up guys? I'm gonna be reviewing a video called Breaking the Habit of Bad Eating and Poor Sleep by Lionel Sanders. I reviewed a video of his some months ago where I talked about how bad his diet is. It's one of the worst that I've ever seen. I do wonder if he saw my video and maybe that's what influenced him. It's possible. We'll see.
Sunday, January 19th, 11:05 a.m. I feel weirdly good today, like as a human being. Aaron's response, you are a good human. I think I'm used to feeling horrible all the time when I train.
Wow, exactly. Yes, because it's incredibly stressful, as I said in the previous video. And you do feel horrible all the time because you're doing something that you don't want to do. That's nature 101, so to speak. That's just how life works. You do what you want to do, you feel good. You do what you don't want to do, you feel bad. That's it. It's not, of course, black and white. It's not the only reason you will feel bad or good, but it's very likely the case. So if you're feeling bad in everyday life, you're probably doing something that you don't want to do. Typically today that would be working out, exercising, some kind of other stress, eating bad food, unnatural food, and so on.
I'm getting older and I also don't feel very good and sleep horrible. And so admittedly, and I had this chronic cough and stuff. And so I haven't had blood work done ever. I don't think I've ever had blood work done in my whole life. So I went to the doctor and I asked for basically the Cadillac of blood tests. I want to test everything, seeing as I haven't really done any testing. I might as well make up for it now. For the most part, everything looks pretty good, healthy, decently healthy. Otherwise, everything looked okay, except my A1C. I came up at 5.9, which is in the pre-diabetic range. I think 6.4, 6.
Obviously, that's not a surprise to anybody. He was eating as much sugar as I've never seen before, I think.
6.5 is the threshold to being diabetic.
Yeah, typically a natural diet should be you eating 80% protein and fat at least, really usually more. A sort of low carb diet, and then depending on the season and the availability, you would be eating 10 to 20% carbohydrates at most of the time. Yeah, very rarely if you would find a fruit tree or honey, which would be rare in most climates, then you would gorge on the fruit and the honey, but otherwise, typically you would be eating a fat and protein-based diet. This kind of a diet is something very new.
And so that was, quite surprising and something serious, because diabetes is not a disease that you want to mess around with. And here we are making yet another video about this. But this time, I'm actually starting to get... I probably could have got this feedback a while back had I went and actually tested myself, because I've been showing symptoms. I mean, for instance, it would not be uncommon for me to pee 8 times in 8 hours of sleep, meaning I'm not sleeping. Because I'm the type of person who, when I go pee, I also wake up a bit. And then, we're talking, little sleeps of 45 minutes times 8.
I forgot what he was doing, cycling or running, but you can do either also on a ketogenic diet, or at least a low carb diet, or even lower in his case. There's a lot of people who have done that. This notion that you need to be eating almost only carbohydrates when you do any kind of endurance exercise is nonsense, just from the experience of people.
And eating candy and, sugar in the middle of the night, having intense cravings, sleeping just absolutely horrible when I do sleep. In my defense, I guess, it is sort of the way of the Western world, convenience food, processed food, not very nutritionally dense food, calorically high, macro high, salt, fat, sugar high, nutritional.
It sounds so much like he maybe did see my video, because that's exactly what I talked about. It could also just be a coincidence, or maybe somebody who knows him saw it and talked to him. That's also possible, because yeah, as I said, these kind of new foods, if you can even call it food, it's very high in macronutrients, and in most cases the carbohydrates, which are just sugar essentially in the body. So you're just eating mostly sugar all day. That's what most people eat. It's like 70% sugar, their diet, if not even more. In his case, it was more, which is crazy. It should be the other way around, as I said. And then, of course, eventually your pancreas, your whole body can't take it anymore. And that's just what diabetes type 2 is. Type 1 is a different story.
And that would be very little for breakfast, a little bit for lunch, and then a shit ton for dinner. And because I ate very little for those first 2 meals, I would also prioritize a massive amount of carbs. And as the day goes on, insulin sensitivity, and I saw this in my data, insulin sensitivity goes down, and thus the blood sugar kind of remains elevated. And so then I would eat a shit ton of carbs for dinner, and then I would have dessert, and then I would snack all night on, for the most part, candy. And then I would also, in the middle of the night, I would have Nature Valley bars. And
All right, so far it seems like his conclusion is that he was eating high glycemic foods because he said that he started eating low glycemic foods. You're still, of course, eating glycemic foods. You're still eating foods that will raise your blood sugar because you're eating sugar, as I said. That's what carbohydrate-based foods are. And that's mostly what he eats. So switching from high to low is good, but still, you're eating mostly carbohydrates. At the end of the day, that's the actual problem. And that's something that he didn't fix yet, at least. We'll see. I don't know what he will say, but that was his conclusion so far. And that he didn't eat anything in the morning, and around noon and later in the day, he stuffed himself full of sugar again. Yeah, that's also bad, of course. It's kind of like when people do intermittent fasting, they don't eat and then they eat tons in the afternoon usually. At the end of the day, you're gonna eat just as much anyway because that's what your body's asking for. In his case, he's probably addicted to all the junk food from his childhood. He's kind of eating like a brainwashed child, if you get what I mean. Growing up on cookies and cornflakes and whatnot.
I eat 1 or 2 every night, which each of those has a whole bunch of shit in it. So then I started to realize, well, there are some things that I could do differently, and let's see what the results of that are. I started having, for instance, overnight oats and putting a ton of calories on that and trying to make breakfast the big meal. And then started to...
Yeah, but you're still eating seeds. Your whole problem is what you're eating, not how much of that you're eating or when you're eating that, and that you work out all the time, that you stress yourself. I suppose that that's how he makes a living, and I think that he has a child or even more, which is why he wants to take care of his family. Understandable. He's kind of bound to his work. But fuck, I would just find something else to do then, because what's the point of this in the end? How long can you even continue doing this? A few more years before your body gives up? Save yourself right now. Switch to eating a high-fat, high-protein diet. Eat some carbs here and there. And then take care of your family in some other way. Get some kind of other job. Anybody can find a job if they really look for it. Yeah, maybe you won't earn as much money, whatever.
I don't even know if that's feasible for an ultra-endurance athlete because we train so frequently and we're also eating so frequently and we have to eat a ton of carbs. So I was quite happy with how much I was able to elicit change. And that basically, as I've followed this pathway now, and this has been going on, I had that blood test done in November. And so then I began this process basically mid-November, late November, early December. So now we're knocking on the door of like 2 months of...
It's interesting that he said that you need carbohydrates for this kind of a lifestyle. And you can argue if it's better for you. I'm all open for that. But has he ever tried eating a lot of organs? Let's say you do your fruit shakes or something, bananas. Have you tried eating, adding a lot of liver to the shake? Some kind of smoothie? I don't think so. I haven't seen that. Meaning that you don't even know how you would feel on any other foods. Assuming that he has some money, he could easily probably get blood from some kind of farm regularly. He could add blood and liver to his sugar smoothies. That would generally make you way, way healthier. How would you then feel if you would be getting an abundance of micronutrients, and then also, of course, a lot of the fats and the protein that you're not getting, living on sugar alone makes you look the way he looks. He's very skinny. He looks malnourished. He doesn't look as bad as in the last video, if you can believe that. You can check it out, but he obviously looks bad still because he still lives the same kind of life. It's the same kind of exercise and food for the most part. You're sweating out all of the minerals in your body also, making it more likely that you will get a heart attack, especially because of the loss of selenium. Also, the B vitamins you lose very quickly, you need to replenish them. The best ways would be through blood and organs, which you're not consuming at all. This kind of a candy, fruit, seed diet with this much exercise is gonna land you who knows what in a wheelchair or something, possibly in your 40s. This cannot continue. No, man, this just has to stop now.
Change. And as I've slowly learned more and kind of figured out, don't go so super polarized in one direction, but certainly moving more towards thinking about not eating super processed carbs and stuff. Definitely still eating a shit ton of carbs, but eating a lot of it with fats and proteins and in their,
But does he even? What does he mean by fats? I think that he just consumes some kind of seed sludge.
They're more of a natural source instead of a super highly processed source. I've literally felt my whole life, my whole reality begin to change because I felt something that I can't remember the last time I felt, which was I was just walking around about to begin a bike and I felt good. And last night I peed 2 times. The night before I peed 1 time in the middle of the night. And I've been sleeping soundly. People have been saying you eat like a bag of shit for a long time, but it's just like anybody, a smoker or something who they know they're smoking and it's going to give them lung cancer, but I don't know why. You just keep smoking until...
Well, yeah, because you hate something about yourself, your life, you have some kind of trauma, you have some kind of issue, which is why you want to destroy yourself. That's the same thing, exactly. It's just a different form of self-destruction. Just because most people on Earth are going to tell you that it's healthy for you to exercise, especially when it's this extreme, doesn't mean that they are right. Most people on Earth also believe that the sun is bad for you and that vegetables are good for you. The truth is the opposite of both, by the way, in case you didn't realize what I mean. Yeah, so 99% of people on Earth can be wrong about most of their beliefs. Yeah, it's just how it is. The majority is not somebody you should listen to.
And so the next step on this journey now is creating a new culture. First, of course, understanding what I've been doing to myself, which is eating ultra-processed foods that are nutrient devoid. And that's where my tastes are. That's what I crave. I'll crave McDonald's and all of these very processed things, and I'll crave the peanut butter cups and stuff because, of course, my body, I've trained itself to fuel itself on that. And so starting to change the culture from that standpoint.
Yes, exactly. Very good point. Whatever you get your body used to is what your body is going to ask for. So when you have very little energy, then that's all that your body is going to know. The same way a pregnant woman is going to crave pickles, as in those fermented cucumbers, which are obviously floating around in salt. They will do that when they will have mineral deficiencies and their body doesn't know anything else. So it's just going to get a lot of sodium. But because you never exposed your body to raw liver, blood, or anything, you will just crave pickles and ketchup because it looks like blood. Your body is so confused because it was never exposed to natural foods. It's kind of the same case here. His body just doesn't know any better.
Which for me means going to the farmer's market. That's a thing that I want to do. Going to the grocery store, looking around the grocery store.
Farmers markets are good. Just go to a farm directly, maybe also. Ideally start hunting.
Looking at what I'm eating actually, is this actually a food or is this a...
This is a food. The stuff in the last picture, no.
Food-like substance. And then just cultivate...
The meat looks nice. Could eat that raw, I bet.
Creating a culture of spending more time and energy on these things because it's holistic. I've not spent time and energy on these things very likely because I'm tired and not recovering properly, and therefore I'm lazy and I eat like shit, which adds to me being tired and not recovering properly.
That's true, but natural food should be readily available. Yeah, you gotta hunt them, but in our case, seeing as we can buy the meat anyway, that's what most people do realistically. You could just eat it as it is. You can also eat the meat raw as long as it's good quality meat. So technically, it's not really a good excuse, but I get what he means, but he just doesn't understand that natural food, once it's ready, once it's hunted, of course, is available as it is. You can just eat it right away. There's no need to wait for 30 minutes to cook something.
Properly, and it's just this snowball, cyclical thing. Then that's what I have to do because that's the culture that I want to create because I don't want to die young of diabetes. And I'm headed down that pathway right now. And so that's where I'm at right now. It's fantastic.
That's true, and that's good, but you gotta understand that the exercise itself is also super unhealthy. Every study ever done about it shows that it really reduces your lifespan significantly. And these are mostly epidemiological studies, and if you don't want to take them seriously, then I get it, trust me, because I don't even take them that seriously. It's something to look at, but not something to base your life on. Still, when you see that whatever kind of exercise you do, when you do it for over 30-40 minutes a week, your lifespan really reduces significantly. Then you really start thinking about it. It's just because it's way too much stress for you, and this guy works out as much as you shouldn't even work out in a whole week. He works out that much in one day. That's what I mean.
I've never felt better in memory.
What does he have here? Some kind of fish, probably farmed, let's just assume. Still better than eating candy bars. Maybe potatoes, fries, I guess. And broccoli, a toxic green flower, which is gonna destroy your thyroid. So that's bad, that's really bad. Don't eat any flowers, it's not human food. Potatoes, yeah, also just sugar in the end, not really much of a difference. The fish maybe, well, good. It's better than what he eats typically.
And it's quite rewarding, actually. I'm still like an absolute...
What is the mayonnaise? But the mayonnaise of today is made with seed oils. If it isn't, I would say, okay, it says real mayonnaise. But is it actually real? There's eggs on there, no? So maybe it's made with eggs? But almost every mayonnaise nowadays still has vegetable oils.
Novice, but I cooked a steak the other day. I've been helping out in the kitchen more, and like anything, I'm new, totally new, but I'm excited to learn, and I'd even one day like to be able to cook something for myself. That would be satisfying. That's the first time I've ever, I think when you have kids.
Yeah, man, this guy's just on a completely different level. I don't even think that what I'm saying would really get to him because he was on a level of eating candy bars and sugary drinks all day. So now he has switched to eating some real foods, sort of, some cooked fish, okay, and flowers and potatoes, okay, yeah, that you can leave out. There's no need to eat that garbage also. But compared to what he used to eat, it seems healthy to him, and it is healthier, but he just doesn't understand what humans are naturally supposed to eat. So he already says that he feels better now, for the first time in years, I guess. Try switching to eating actual natural food, mate.
You start to realize like your mortality a bit, and you also realize like you are ingraining a culture, you are ingraining a way of thinking, a way of being on this little person who they don't really come in with any knowledge.
Yes, exactly. Our children learn everything from us completely. They absorb everything like a sponge.
You give all them most of the knowledge they'll have for the first part of their life. And so then
really pretty much for the rest of their life. It's kind of like when you learn your language, you have your mother tongue. Everything else that you learn, what to eat, what you get used to, that will also be ingrained in you, so to speak. It's naive to believe that children only learn a language and that's it, and then everything else they can change. Once you learn that you need to cook your food and do this and that, it stays with you for your life. It's very hard to get rid of that.
It makes you cognizant of your own behaviors a bit better. I care more about my health than about eating shit food. And the thing that I haven't changed is, the big thing is the culture. I have to change the culture in this house around eating. And that starts with me. And so that's where I'm at. And that's what I'm committed to doing as long as it takes to rid myself of the laziness that I have been living for literally the last, as long as I've known Aaron anyhow, which is 14 years.
All right, this was pretty interesting. It's good to see that he's heading into a better direction. It's not a good direction by any means. Eating toxic green flowers is obviously not ideal for humans. It will simply end up destroying your thyroid. Flowers taste bad because they are toxic to us. This is something that's very hard for people to understand because, as I said to him, going from a candy bar and soda diet, some fast food restaurants, to eating fish, which is great. Raw would be ideal, sashimi, and some flowers and tubers. To him, this is a lot better, and it is sort of in comparison. Although the flowers will do a lot of damage, still, eating processed seeds and extracted sugar, it really doesn't get much worse. As I said, the diet that he was eating, you can watch my last video, Fees, the review, that was one of the worst things I've ever seen. He even looks slightly better right now, and he said that he feels better because the way you look like dictates how you feel. If somebody looks bad, unhealthy, then they feel bad. You can't look bad and feel good. That doesn't exist because your looks show the way you feel. And when somebody feels miserable, they have dark eye circles and everything, it just goes hand in hand. It's always visible. If you feel exhausted, you're gonna have dark eye circles and under eye bags, for example. And of course, when you're aging, you feel like you're aging, all the stress, it's gonna be visible because you're gonna have a lot of wrinkles and so on. It's always visible. You feel sick on the inside, you're gonna have pus coming out of your pores, which is acne. Everything is always visible. Yeah, and that's exactly why he said that he feels bad. He's been feeling bad for over a decade now. And now at last he feels better because he's eating some meat. Now switch to adding raw healthy liver from healthy animals to your smoothies, maybe some raw milk, some other organs, blood ideally, if you have the money for it, if you can find a good farm. You don't even need much money for it. I'm just saying, from healthy animals it may cost more. If you want a lot of blood, it may cost more, but then again, some places even give it for free, so as long as you have the motivation to find it, you're probably going to find it. I've been to places where they don't even want the blood, they just give it to you for free. And those are healthy animals, so just depends. It's going to be easier with money because you can manipulate people with money, seeing as it doesn't exist, but through the thoughts you can. As long as you offer them some man-made numbers, they will be thankful and much more likely to give it to you. Maybe they can even deliver it. Whatever the case, I'm just saying this would make him feel way better. He basically was at the bottom. That pretty much was the bottom, yeah. Really, I think that he was close to dying or getting a heart attack. Then he started realizing somehow after over a decade that it's really getting bad. But now he's kind of here. You could be here. It's a noticeable change, but the actual change to natural eating would be, it's like night and day basically. Yeah, seriously. So it would be insanely noticeable. Your eyes would open up wide and you would actually just look at what you did to yourself, I think that he would even stop working out right away once he would realize how you're really supposed to feel. Go start eating naturally, stop exercising. You're gonna feel like a new human being. Literally, you won't even recognize yourself. You're gonna look at your old videos, you're gonna see the misery that was always in your eyes. It's gonna be done. It's over. You're never gonna go back to it. I really recommend that you try it. Thanks for watching, guys.